Lexus presents tennis on Sky Sports for the game changers.
We talked, ladies, briefly about the match, and we were going to continue, but then she came and joined us, and we're really glad she did. She said, Laura, it was just one of those days. But in terms of how that match began, I like what Naomi Brady said in commentary. She said, at the end of a set like that, you've just got to put it in the bin, and you've just got to forget it.
Yeah, perfect way to describe it. I mean, it's a 23-minute first set, and you sit down and you feel like, I've not even played a good point yet. So where do I kind of bring this up? It definitely seemed like in the first set that she was going way too much to Kalinina's backhand, wasn't she, Marion?
Absolutely, Laura, and that's been really the massive good points from Kalinina, just having that backhand cross-court or up the line and redetecting from that wing. And I think Emma said it herself, she knew that the backhand was the best shot, but sometimes when you feel uncomfortable, you actually play tactically wrong because you just go to what feels comfortable for you, and for Emma is playing her backhand cross, and that just goes to the favorite shot of your opponent. But she was able to start to come back into that match with using her forehand a lot more, going up the line, trying to be more aggressive, not letting Kalinina detecting those points, and that's how she actually got a set point herself in that tie break in the back end of the set, but she just couldn't close it out. But I think I just like the fact that, yes, of course, it was awful for set and few games, but she just stood there and she kept on trying, and that takes guts, because sometimes you just want to get out of that court. You feel so bad. Everything sounds so horrendous that you just don't see any solutions.
Sometimes you can play through that when you just commit a little bit more, go for your shots, don't worry so much about the result, and then the timing starts to come back as the match goes on.
Absolutely, but we talked about it before the match. You can tell how Emma is feeling based on her forehand. That is sort of the barometer of her game. When the forehand lands short mid-court, you know she's feeling stressed. The body doesn't commit to the shot, she was on the back leg. The whole body will go backwards, the racket has no speed, and the ball just lands in mid-court because you just don't commit to the shot. And what was great in some sort of ways, it could have been like that for 50 minutes and the match was over in 6-off, 6-1 or even 6-off, 6-0. And she was able still to find a way to get that forehand going. And her coach was really urging her to go for that forehand down the line. And the first time actually she hit that forehand line, she turned to him and said, that's the shot you're looking for, right? And he nodded her and said, yes, please. And then she went for more. So, sometimes it's all about, as well, finding a conversation with your coach to get a little bit of the emotions out and almost play like a practice match, in some sort of ways, because now on the WTA Tour, you have the coaching a load. So especially on the small courts like that, you almost come and have your coaching teams between each point, and you could see even Kalinina talking a lot.
We were sat behind Kalinina's coach.
We
it was non-stop, back and forth.
It was absolutely
there was a lot
non-stop.
of signals, a lot of motions going on, but it definitely seemed like there was some dialogue between the two of them.
Yeah, absolutely. She just kept scowling at him, and he kept we were trying to figure out, was it her movement? Was it getting Raducanu to move around?
My impression
more?
of it was that she was trying to keep Emma on the run, so playing wide off both sides, which you could definitely see as soon as she was able to extend the rally. She was the first opening she got, she was going wide.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in terms of the stats, if people missed them at the end of the match, the thing that stood out for you, Laura, was the unforced error count for Emma Raducanu.
Yes, the 48 unforced errors. I mean, when you're able to hit that many when you've already had a set that's 23 minutes, I think that tells a very good story of the match. Sometimes you don't read too much into the unforced errors if the winner count is also high, but I think just that ratio there, it's the sign of a very tough day at the office.
And I think it was interesting what she said when she joined us moments after that match, saying it was a day match, and that kind of took me by surprise. I didn't really know how to deal with it and the light, and I just maybe need to practice more in the daylight.
Well, she was actually again mentioning her mother was sitting next to her coach, and she was talking a lot to her mother too, and she was saying, I just can't see the ball. And she was trying to adjust her visor. It's just different condition. You can see the shade is coming sort of across the court. You have that ball that comes through from the shade towards the sun, and obviously if you're not used to play day matches because you have a high ranking or a high position.
She played a day match in Australia.
Yes, but I think it's just sometimes in Abu Dhabi she played night as well. It's just when you go in week in and week out and you remember the last week and it's a night match and you come in and you have a bad day, everything seems a lot more difficult as well. Probably if she would have struck the ball well, she would have not mind, but on the day when everything sounds very difficult, your body doesn't go. I just felt as well towards the end of that set, she was getting a little tired. In the end of the second set, they had two really long points when Emma was up 6-5 in that tie break, back to back. And you can see the match point, she just, after the second shot, she was basically really struggling physically. So it's all of that you have to take in. Obviously, I think, as Laura mentioned, a huge debrief has to be done with her team. Assess what's going on now that she has been able to play a few tournaments back-to-back and really come up with a plan, because you can see some of the shots are still there. You can see that if she can put it together, she has absolutely the potential to come back in that top 10. But yes, a lot of work needs to be done.